Hello and welcome to the Dweebz Japanese Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick.
And I'm also one of your hosts, Khalil. What's
Nice.
up, guys?
Hello. They can't talk back to you, Khalil, sorry.
Yeah, they can. I can hear them.
Their voices.
The voices.
So we just got done watching Dark and Black episode 11, which is super interesting. I kept feeling like it was a flashback, even though it wasn't. Like, because some parts of it were flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
But some parts of it were not. Most of it was not. It was mostly just continuing. And for some reason in my head, it felt like all of it was a flashback to like Hayes' beginning as a janitor or whatever. But in reality, it wasn't. It was
Yeah, I just think it's another one of their
him
their
continuing. Yeah, because the thing is, like, he always feigns ignorance, like feigns being stupid. So,
but at what point?
Right. In that context, I thought it was him in the past, like actually being ignorant. But no, it was him in the present. So I kept getting confused watching the episode. But yeah. So, but I mean, like, that one professor's assistant or whatever, when she was talking to him about like him being Kyaksha, but having feelings.
Oh yeah.
And then she's like, what else?
What else?
Sorry, I had a cough there.
Oh, no problem.
What else? She's not really super important in the story quite yet, but yeah, his sister seemed to have like disappeared or whatever, and then kind of near the end, right, she sort of appears in a way, and he's like freaking out. I think that's why he's freaking out.
Yeah.
Seeing that she is near Hell's Gate or whatever, and like apparently trapped in a car or something like that. Like as a car.
She is a car.
She is a car. I don't really understand what was going on there at the end, but they're basically like, they could turn on the star vision or whatever, and they can see that the car is reflecting.
Understood what that was.
Yeah. So it was interesting too, like when he was getting recruited or whatever for the being a janitor.
Yeah.
Basically, they asked him, does he believe in God? They asked him, does he believe in superstitions or like aliens or something like that? Like all of these other things. And,
didn't they ask him if he was a contractor too?
At the very end, they're like, are you a KFC? Are you a contractor? And he said no. And then, of course, he has that little shiiru, which is like a sticker on his neck that was supposed to reflect the fact that he was, prevent them from knowing that he was. It's funny, that dude that on his team or whatever with the cat, the old man, they're always meet in a park. They always.
I know
meet.
It looks so suspicious.
And he just like halfway through the conversation just slides down the slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. Have a little fun.
Yeah. Have a little fun while they're talking about serious stuff. Yeah. And so nobody thinks they're suspicious. Well, the thing about Japan though is you'll often go to a park and half of the people in the park will be kids and half of them will be like old men. That's kind of weird.
Huh.
It's like old oji-san tachi. They just hang out at the park and creep or just chill. I don't know, in the middle of the city or both. So that was a funny scene for me. And yeah, they were talking about anything else interesting in the episode that you want to maybe point out?
Comment on. I thought it was interesting that that scientist guy with the blonde hair, I think he's the killer because he did not do it.
The guy that was like,
who like patted his head.
Oh yeah,
I think it's him.
Yeah.
I think they have very similar powers.
Right.
Because his silhouette, when they showed it, it didn't look like Hayes.
No, it definitely wasn't Hayes.
Yeah,
right.
But it was the blue electricity, which is Hayes' kind of signature thing. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Nice. The detail recognition, I guess. noticing those details because I didn't even notice that at all.
I do also don't quite understand why that girl was so interested in the telescopes. Like I don't know what is special about that room of telescopes. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't. Well, she was like freaking out for whatever reason.
Yeah,
that was kind of
like really paranoid the whole time.
Yeah, maybe. Well, because she was like pulled in. Yeah, she started freaking out and then kind of being paranoid and like something weird is going happening. Blah blah blah. And then maybe the blonde dude silenced her, which isn't known in the show quite yet. But that's the working hypothesis, pool hypothesis, which I think is probably true. Because it's like, oh, is the most unseemingly nicest person who does the most evil things. I was thinking that it was maybe the police, but but no, I think you're right. I think you're right entirely because I didn't notice those details at all. The lightning stuff. I don't even know if I was watching. To be honest, I was probably taking notes. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. And I believe this is the second half of the show or whatever that kind of continues the story more strongly, like episode to episode.
Yeah, I looked at all the episodes are in parts. Like you could just tell by looking at the titles of them.
Yeah.
And even though that it's still in the twos, but I think it's gonna be overall because like now he's seen his sister, and that's been kind of an overall theme throughout so far. He's trying to figure out what happened to his sister. Now that we've seen her, I think it will start to push more of that overall mystery.
So that's right. That's what I understand from him is like all of a sudden when Hell's Gate appeared or something, she disappeared. And so I guess we don't really know how or why or what occurrence. I wonder if that's going to be the next episode, like they do like a little flashback or something and he's talking about what happened, like why did she suddenly disappear. I don't believe that was in the show yet, why she disappeared, or has he explained it or anything?
I don't think so.
He just said he's looking for his sister. I think it's basically all he said so far. This is what makes a good show, man. It's the story. It's the mystery. All right. Speaking of mysteries, how is your Japanese study?
That's going good. I got to level 7. I kind of did it like I didn't notice. It just kind of happened.
That's the best, right?
One of those little things.
Like, whoa, progress.
Yeah. So that was cool. Learning a lot still doing. I kind of been slowing down a little bit. Like I've been doing 5 lessons rather than 10. Just trying to cram things in there. It's hard sometimes. Some days just can't. Just start spilling out as I'm
7 lessons.
There, Not 10. I want to do 10 a day, but I've just been doing 5 for now.
Yeah, that's still better than nothing.
Yeah, so I've been slacking a little bit past couple days. Even on my reviews too, I haven't been doing as many. But the first half of the week was really good. I was doing like I had a lot. Like I was constantly had over 100. I kept doing them all, and then I think when I was doing that, that's when I leveled up. It is a lot.
That's a lot, and it's and you were talking earlier too about how like all the reviews kind of pile up before you level up or something.
Yeah, and before I get a chance to really like actually work on them. So I try to do it a couple in the morning, but usually it's towards the end of the day, which of course when I'm like a little tired and
you don't want to do it.
I was burnt out, but I really want to.
Yeah,
I've been learning a lot of new words, and I've been getting kind of confused too on quite a bit of words. I'm trying to find some examples, like some things make a lot of sense. Like I learned ryote, ryojitsu, and ryoho. Like those all make sense.
Both.
And then there's also like both hands, both days. What is that last one? Both. What is it? Yoho, both.
It's like both ways.
Both ways, gotcha. And then there's also cases like the I've noticed it's a lot of the times with day and month because there's Nietzsche, there's Jitsu, there's he, there's um
Oh yeah,
he,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, and getting that down's kind of
Speed.
hard.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
are the
Jitsu is
months.
kind of weird. The
Yeah,
months. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Mhm.
sometimes it's like Getsu. I think I saw one example where it was like Tsuki instead of month, but it meant month, or instead of Getsu, sometimes it's Gatsu. It's just kind of
Yeah,
hard for me to keep track of those.
Maitsuki,
Yeah,
uh,
Maitsuki. It's
Maitsuki, and
like
yeah.
Getsu, I think. Or
Getsu is
the
like 3ヶ月、1ヶ月、2ヶ月、3ヶ月、4ヶ月、5ヶ月. It's like a counter.
okay.
Yeah.
But there's also like what was it? Not like non-Gatsu, right? Or is it
Oh, like
non-Getsu?
which month? Yeah. You're
Yeah.
talking about like the calendar date.
Yeah.
Nangatsu is like which month? What month?
Okay.
So, 1月、2月、3月、
Mm-hmm.
January,
Non-Gatsu.
February, March. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to get those straightened out.
Yeah, the reason like they sound different, but the reason that they're confusing is because the kanji is the same.
Yeah, it is the
So the
same.
reading, like trying to when reading it, they're trying to remember the pronunciation because it's a little bit different. Is tricky. Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, other than that, just trucking along.
Sweet. Yeah, those come up a lot too, and so you'll eventually get it. But yeah, they're still confusing sometimes until you hear it a lot. So don't
Hmm.
really worry about it. Even if you say like the wrong thing, people totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured at least like for the month thing, for example, I'm pretty sure that would be pretty clear for the most part.
yeah, and people, one thing I like about learning a different language is you're sort of a baby in that
Hmm.
language. Like you kind of speak like a baby, and you make the same, or a kid, and you make the same sort of mistakes that children make too when they're learning language, because they're thinking in like patterns that, oh, this is the way that I say it here, so I can say it the same way here.
Yeah,
And then adults,
that's
they
how
just learn through basically conditioning that, oh no, but then kids too. Kids, when they learn as kids, so when they're kids, they have an adult or somebody else correct them, like, no, it's you know it makes sense why you say it that way,
yeah.
but it's not how we actually say it. There's a
Hmm.
difference, and so you get corrected. So speak like a kid to Japanese people or other people speaking Japanese, and often you'll start to notice that, oh, so the pattern I thought was correct isn't correct all the time, and sometimes it is correct. Like that happens all the time too, where you just make an assumption and you just say it, and it
Hmm.
happens to be correct. And I think this is way more common in Japanese than it is in English, because you can make like a lot of assumptions and just say, like the sa example the other day, like nagasa, length,
Oh
um,
yeah.
that stuff. You can, with that kind of thing, it's like a rule basically. You can use it sort of anywhere, and it's 99.99% true in that case. Unlike English, which has like a bunch of weird irregular verbs and irregular words and exceptions to everything, so there's really no hard and fast rule, which is pretty frustrating. so,
Hmm.
so I would say that most of the time you'd be correct, even for just using a pattern that you learned. Um, so speak like a child. It's a really really fast way to learn, and just be open to being corrected, because that's how you learn.
Yeah. Sweet. So what about you?
Oh yeah, I'm still on level 56 on Wanikani.
Ooh.
I feel like when I turned to level 56, it was like a birthday. Uh, that it would just be smooth sailing, like only 4 more levels. But in reality, it took forever. It took like a month or something. I think I'm kind of nearing the end. I think I have a couple more days left.
Nice.
I think it's probably been a month and a half or maybe more on that one level. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's just the fact that I'm doing more reviews and I'm doing lessons um,
Hmm.
every day. Like I try to do about 5 lessons a day, like you, but probably end up doing 5 lessons every day or every other day.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why. But I don't know. Like I don't really. Again, I've been doing this so long that it doesn't want to go in particular. Uh, for so long that it doesn't really. I'm not super concerned about doing 30 a day or something like that. I know that I'll finish eventually. In fact, it'll be kind of sad when I finish it. Level 60 or whatever, and I know I'll still have reviews basically until the end of time, which I'll continue to do. But I don't know, like it's taking a long time. I'm almost there though in level 56, leveling up to 57, and then then another thing is like the book that I was reading, right? That I still enjoy. I like the book that I'm reading, Psychopaths, but I try to do like every other day or kind of like make it not an everyday obligation. That's not working. So I think it's just like you. I knew this was gonna happen though. That at night I am just so exhausted from the day, and I usually am doing something that I want to do. That's usually like leisurely. For example, playing games, skateboarding, just being with Judy and being with Bella, our dog, and just like chilling and watching Netflix or whatever. So before I go to bed, I'm going to bed, and so I don't really want to read when I want to sleep.
Yeah,
I don't want to get good
turn off.
when I sleep. I just want to turn off. So I think that I read my real estate books and stuff like that every day and journal before work, and I think that's super effective. I do it every day, and that's something I think I need to do for this. I probably need to either make more time in the morning, so I go to bed even earlier, which I already go to bed at 8. So
that's pretty early, man.
Because I wake up so early. I wake up at 5:30. So I'd have to go to bed earlier to read my Japanese book or something. I have to figure out a way to work it into a habit, like work it into my schedule. Another thing I can try to do is like read for a bit during lunch as like a little break between work. I normally don't take breaks like that, but maybe I should. Maybe I should take a little break, read a little bit.
Good idea.
Yeah, and
get some food in, reading.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Get some food and read, because that way I'm not burnt out. Because I do a contract stuff too after my day job as well. So that takes up a couple hours as well. So I'm literally working like 10, 11 hours per day. But then after that, I just want to do whatever I want to do, not study or whatever. So, because I'd be like basically, I don't know, maybe working into the lunch break makes sense. But I want to make it a habit that I do every day, where I'm not super tired. Because I do enjoy it. It's just like the tiredness outweighs the enjoyment.
There's only so much you can fit in a day.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day too. There's just so little time. Yeah, that's my number one goal with real estate too. Is just to make more time for myself. I'd rather have more time than money at this point, which is a really really blessed thing to say. Like, I'm very fortunate in my position. So like, I'm not saying that. That's like my next step though. It's just making more time while still making similar, or maybe even just a little bit less, for the in exchange for more time. To do this kind of stuff.
You'd always get more money, man. Never get time back.
That's true. It's true. Like, what are we all working for? If you enjoy your job, that's great. And I do enjoy my job to a certain extent, but sometimes it's like diminishing returns. Favorite Japanese word recently, Khalil?
I only have one right now.
It must be really, really good then.
Not really. I do like the way the kanji looks. Omote, which is like, I guess, a face or a surface, right?
Yeah. Surface.
And I think that's actually a good, useful word to have.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
using a lot.
Men
is using
like a surface.
Yeah. Like the onyomi, the onyomi reading for Omote.
Oh, for that kanji.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I am a fan of the describing words. Like any word I could use to describe something. Like I learned ground. What was that? Hold on. No, that's underground. Oh, is it Tochi? Is that ground or is that land?
Tochi is like land, yeah. Chika.
Tochi. Chika.
Oh, sorry, Chika
that's
is
underground, right?
Yeah, sorry. Ground could be there's like floor, which is yuka.
So
Tochi is
interesting.
like land.
Like
Ground.
land
Ground.
around.
Shita. Down. Ground. I don't actually. What would you say ground? I
It was
wonder.
it used the kanji for
Oh, G-Man? Yeah. G-Man? Sorry. That's another common one. Just didn't come into my head. G-Man, so chi, which is like land, right? So tochi, it's a tochi no chi, and men, which is the surface.
oh
So G-Man,
interesting.
G-Man. Yeah, that's funny because I used to use that a lot more than I do now. Why? G-Man the art. I don't really
Why?
G-Man the art. I don't really say that too much. Like if something dropped, I'd be like, "Oh, shitani art," like something dropped from underneath the table. It's underneath the table. Table no shitani art,
Oh
like
yeah,
underneath the
yeah.
table. I wouldn't say like on the ground. That's a common thing to say though. Like, oh, it's on the ground. G-Man art. You can say that all. I don't know.
Huh.
I just haven't used it in a long time. Weird, weird. I think mostly with Judy, it's just like, ここにある. Like this, it's right here.
Oh, well, that is pretty universal right there.
Yeah. My Japanese is probably getting worse at this point, despite us studying every week. Cool. Surface.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, G-Man is
G-Man.
G-Man has men in it. I don't really Omonte I haven't really
You don't use that much?
used that much. Yeah. Um I actually forgot the kunyomi until you said it. Um but if you say it, I like, oh yeah, I remember those Wanikani reviews type of thing.
Mhm.
Like I know the Wanikani meeting, but because men is so much more common than omote, that I kind of forgot.
I see.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
So I've got a couple,
yeah,
more
I
than a
guess.
couple. So kubaku is like an air raid or air bombing, and the
Oh,
reason that it's not my favorite word, but it came up recently because of the Palestinian and Israeli, uh, you know, constant
mhm.
conflict that's been happening for a long time. But the recent crazy Hamas and Israeli
Yeah.
military happenings. So I was watching a TBS reporter talk about it, and he said kubaku, which is like air bombing.
Hmm.
So um, so that made me look it up, and then once I saw the kanji, I was like, oh, I know what that is.
Oh,
Because I
interesting.
know what kubaku is. I just didn't when he said it, I didn't think air raid like air bombing.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I typed it, I was like, oh, cool. Um, yeah, the other one is Cujo. Cujo means extermination.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, Cujo, and it's not related to the Israeli-Palestinian thing, although could be. Uh,
Mhm.
but Cujo is extermination. I think that Judy and I were talking about like if we got a property and there were lots and lots of bugs, like lots and lots of cockroaches and stuff like that.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want to we want to buy a property that we can like fix up, not
Yeah.
crazy fixing, but kind of cosmetic stuff.
Hmm.
And she's like, oh, kujo sureba daijoubu. Like if just exterminated everything, it'd be fine. So kujo, ku is inspire. I don't actually know if I've learned this yet. The first kanji
Oh,
in
interesting.
wanikani. Oh, kakeru. I think I've learned it.
I'll look it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I've learned it. Yeah. Kake is like gallop or to. But what's weird is if
Still.
you look up Cujo, if you look up ku in the dictionary of this, it says inspire is the translation. That's kind of odd. I don't know if I've actually read that one. Maybe not.
To inspire.
Yeah, weird. But I think it actually means to gallop or to yeah. Anyways, Cujo means to
Mm.
exterminate. The next word I have on the list is zetsumetsu, and this is something I did learn with Wanikani a long time ago, maybe a year ago or something.
Oh.
And that means to basically be extinct, like to go extinct, or extinction is really what it means. It's a noun. So zetsumetsu naru, zetsumetsu ni naru is like to be exterminated, not exterminated. What did I just say?
You said extinct.
Extinct, to go extinct,
Hmm.
to be extinct. And so like endangered species, for example, Judy and I are watching a documentary, and so it's zetsumetsu something. Kigusha, let me look it up. Zetsumetsu kigushu is endangered species. And another way to say that too is kikenshu. So kiken is like risk or danger, right? And then shu is like type. So zetsumetsu kikenshu is basically the type of risk, like extinction risk type, basically is the literal translation of those kanji meanings. So zetsumetsu means, yeah, to go extinct kind of thing. Dangen, so this came from the Darker Than Black episode that we just watched. Yeah, dangen means apparently assertion or affirmation. So he was saying the police dude, I think the police dude, the police dude or the science dude, it may have been the science dude, like the blonde-haired science dude. He was talking about, maybe it wasn't him. It was one of those guys talking about wanting to affirm something, and like that was the part where I was like, I want to hear what they're saying, because it was kind of hard for me to understand. But he was saying about basically affirming that I think it was related to the research. They're like making a hypothesis and they wanted to affirm their hypothesis or something. But I had to go look that up because I don't know if I've even learned Dangen yet. But that was a bunch of series of words that was kind of confusing me. You know, it was kind of sciencey speak. It's not super like uncommon. But Dangen also means to declare, to assert, declare, or affirm.
Oh, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know your next word. Wow.
Yay, shakai. Shakai is like society. The nurse or whatever, or like one of the dudes when that one lady that Hay met on the bus when she ran out of the cafeteria, and he was saying that
society,
basically like going back to society for her is going to be really hard.
Well, she's dead,
shakai.
So it's going to be really hard.
Yeah. How? That was before obviously she died.
Yeah.
But that's so shakai is a word that I know, but I don't really use too much because I am simple-minded and I use yononaka, which means all society. But
that's the word I recently learned too.
Yeah, I usually use yononaka only because I don't really remember shakai. But shakai is also, it's almost easier to say shakai, and it's also kind of similar meaning, I guess. I guess I don't really understand the nuance. I can study that later, but I kind of want to try to use different words to say the same thing that I normally say. I don't want to be limited to saying the same thing that I always say. I kind of want to learn a different way to say things, a different vocabulary for it, so that I can also recognize when people say it. So I was like, because when he said shakai, I was like, I know what that means. And I knew what he meant through context. He's like, shakai ni hairu no muskashi or something like that. And for her, so I was like, oh yeah, her going back into the world basically is what I was thinking, like seikai kind of thing, like shakai. So I was like, shakai, is that like business or something like that? And I looked it up and I was like, oh, society, I forgot about that. So, so through context I understood, but the actual word I didn't really get immediately. Kansoku too is another way to say kanshi, I think. So kansoku is more of like I guess a scientific sort of experiment type of observation is what it means. Kansoku.
Oh,
So kan is like view and soku is like to I think observe. Um, and there's another way to say to like observe or watch is kanshi, but I think kansoku has a nuance that there's like a observation of. So you know how they all have the headsets or whatever on, like attached to their
yeah.
head and their neck. So that the professor was talking about that, like we want to monitor how you react basically to, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. Like they never really gave a reason that I understood. Why they had a bunch of random people watching the screen and they were monitoring their vitals and stuff. That's just odd to me.
Yeah, I was kind of
Um,
confused too.
but obviously, Hey was the only one who
Who
reacted.
reacted?
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
kind of gonna stand out now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's it. That's my long list of vocabularies recently.
That was a
Um,
good list right there.
kind of complicated for sure. Yeah. What about your wall of shame words, Khalil, recently?
All right. Well, I still got hold on. Toe. Still got toe.
So shameful, Khalil.
I know. I'm a little higher than before. Last time I was at like 63, and now I'm at 69. So getting
69,
better.
69.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
So getting
Giggity,
better.
giggity, goo.
And then I have a new word, subete. Subete. I don't know why I said it like that.
Subete.
Subete, which I heard
Subete.
several times in the show.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
stood
yeah.
out to me. The blonde haired
Right.
dude said it like multiple times.
It's very, very common. So common that it doesn't stand out to me at all. Yeah.
I'm at 60, 75, and it's like, hold on. Is it all or whole? Or neither?
It means like everything, essentially. So the
Everything.
difference between zenbu and
Yeah.
subete is that zenbu means all and subete means everything. So they sound the same. They sound the same. Like, oh, that's the same exact meaning. Well, I would say zenbu tabeta. I ate it all. But subete tabeta means that like all is sort of talking about one thing, like all of one thing. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So it's basically just how you say it in English. Whenever you would use all, you can replace with zenbu. And then whenever you use everything, you'd replace it with subete. So it's like it's I can't think of a good example right now of why it would sound weird if you try to interchange the two. But I can just give you examples of when to use it. So for example, um, uh, so すべてのすべての食べ物が食べられた. So like all in English, all the food or like everything, all the food was eaten.
Okay.
But so I can say like 食べ物が全部食べられた. I can say that too. I can say that everything. Yeah, it's hard to explain. There's a little bit of a nuance behind it though. And in Subite has more of a like everything nuance to it than it has an all nuance to it. But typically Subite you would use before like no. So you'd say Subite no. I guess you'd use the same thing with zen, no. So I guess are you confused by it? Is it? I'm not doing a really terrible job thinking of an example to kind of describe how they're a little bit different.
I'm thinking it's just going to be one of those look and feel things. I'm just going to have to kind of experience. And
it really is. Because all the examples I just gave, you could sort of interchange them. You have to say those differently, but you could sort of interchange it. Typically, I found that Subete is sort of used at the beginning of the sentence
Hmm.
and more of like an identifier. Where
I see.
zenbu is like or like an adjective kind of, and then
Yeah.
zenbu is sort of almost like a declarative noun kind of thing. Like zenbu tabeta, like ate it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, subete has again like the more everything type of nuance. So like I can say subete no kuni ga sanpa shiteru. Like all of the, I say all, but every country is participating. It's like everything, like all of the countries type of thing.
Okay.
But Zenbu no Kuni, I wouldn't say that because Zenbu is sort of like, Zenbu is uh, kind of all of one thing or like all of it. Where Subete is, the way I kind of visualize it is Subete is a bunch of things and it's all of those things, but like discrete things. Where Zenbu is like all of one thing. So it's kind of that's the best way I could think of to describe it.
Okay, I think that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Because
so subite, think of like looking at everything in front of you, and there's a bunch of items in front of you, and then you're picking all of them. So subite,
yeah.
subite no mono ga hakonde kita. I picked up all of the things, but zenbu katatsuketa. I cleaned up all of it. A little bit of a nuance, but subite I usually think of like discrete items and all of the discrete items. And then zenbu is like all of kind of one thing that you're talking about, or all of one thing, like real physical thing.
Yeah, so like if you had a pile of the same object, but like different types of objects, but there's piles of those objects, Civite would kind of be like, oh, like one of each kind of thing, and Zenbu would be like all of this pile.
One pile.
All this one pile, or every single thing.
Right.
Or
So
all piles and all objects, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for example, like if you're going to the store,
and
then you're like, subite katta. Like I bought everything. Or if you say zenbu katta, you can say zenbu katta, but the nuance there is that like you have a list full of something, and the list is like a discrete thing. So again, this is sort of a touch and feel thing. I wouldn't really focus too much. I think I'm going way too much into detail here and trying to explain something that's really just a touch and feel thing.
Yeah, we could just leave it at that then.
Yeah, but the way I think about it again is just like discrete items, which is subite, but all of the discrete items, so a bunch of various things. Whereas zenbu is typically like all of one thing that you're talking about.
Gotcha.
So look out for those. Like look out for how people are using subite and zenbu, because I want to do the same thing. So it's really hard to describe, but I know that when I say it, it doesn't really sound super natural because I don't really hear other people saying it. So for me, it's more intuitive, but trying to explain it is hard. So it means probably that I don't understand the nuance well enough if I'm not able to describe it. So, so I want to pay attention to the nuances between both of them as well. They can, for the most part, be used interchangeably. You just have to like kind of replace where they are in the sentence to make it grammatically correct. And again, the nuance is a little different, and it helps if you try to translate it into English, because then sometimes you can feel like the nuance. It really just depends on what you want to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep an ear out for it.
Keep an eye in here.
On your word of shames?
No, I still have hinge and kagayaku. Hinge is the kanji too.
What about the percentages? Have those changed at all?
No. Yeah, they haven't changed. Well, maybe the reading has gotten better in Sue. I have no idea. Because I think I saw Sue recently, but I haven't seen Kagayaku. It's been months. I really want to knock those out of the park.
It's been months.
So let's move on. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So we have the grammar lesson today, which is no.
No.
So this grammar lesson is a little bit different. It's not turning into well, you can use no to again, turn like a noun into an adjective, I guess. Like that's kind of like the one thing that you learn um in beginning Japanese 1 class or whatever, right? Or maybe beginning Japanese lessons is that it's like possessive, right? So I don't mean an adjective. It's like a possessive modifier, right?
That's basically all I know it is right now.
Yeah. So, but in reality, it can also be used to turn verbs into like non-noun things into nouns.
I see.
So you can also, you can use it for verbs, adjectives, and then other kind of statements. So, for example, I've used this all the time in our conversation practice. Things like 日本語で話すの楽しい. So 日本語で話す, it's like to speak in Japanese, right? No, I turn that whole entire sentence into a noun by sticking no at the end. And then I can use like wa or ga or any other sort of subject marking particle or whatever. So I can say, for example, what I just said. So 日本語で話すの楽しい. 日本語で話すのは楽しい. So you understand that, right? So I was saying that 日本語で話すの, 日本語で話す is like speaking Japanese. No, the act of speaking Japanese. You can also say 日本語で話すことは楽しい. That's also the similar thing. I guess the thing about koto versus no is koto is more of like it's sort of cold and more of like the act. It almost feels like the act of doing this is fun. It just sounds kind of weird. The more common conversational, you'll even see in books too, way to normalize like a sentence or a verb or whatever is to use no. So in conversation, they use it all the time. So like, 日本語で話すことが楽しい. Like that sort of thing, to every, like the act of speaking Japanese is fun sort of objectively. Where 日本語で話すの楽しい. And that's sort of like your opinion kind of thing. It has a soft connotation to it. It's more of like a conversational way to say it. So koto is kind of dictionary, cold fact type of thing.
I see.
You can still say it though. It still makes sense. Like it's correct, but the more conversational way to say it is no. To take your verb, take your sentence, take your adjective, like oishii or something like that. And then add no to it, and then it becomes more of like a conversational way. I'm trying to think of like a good example for an adjective. I wonder if there's somebody in this some in this article.
Did you say like taberu no wa tanoshi? Is that?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, if you like eating. Basically, like eating is fun. Another way to use no too is at the end of sentences, and it's kind of like it's sort of feminine in a way. It's not absolutely feminine. It's sort of a question. So right, ka is like really polite, right? Ka is the sort of son keigo for asking like a question. It's like the polite way to add a question mark to a sentence. Also, by the way, you just say it. You like あそこで食べない? If I say that is implied as a question just by the way I said it. Do you want to eat over there? Is what I just said. あそこで食べない? But if I say, the more polite way, あそこで食べませんか？この
What's that?
店、この店で食べませんか？ or like, こちらで食べませんか? Because the more indirect you get with Songkego, the more polite it is.
Yeah.
But the more casual way to ask a question is to either just not use ka, use like sort of regular conversational conjugations for things, and then just change your intonation.
Yeah.
Or to do the same thing, but also add no to it. And like even this article says too, and I just said that before, no is informal, but it's also sort of feminine and kind of childish. So, and then also, so for example, if I say like, 食べないの is like a sort of feminine, childish way to say, like, do you eat that? Like, are you going to eat that? Like, 食べないの? But you can also, so a lot of things, you'll hear women say this all the time, especially when you're listening to TV or something like that, or conversations that couples have, for example. You'll often hear like the woman go, something like, ケーキを食べないの? Like, don't eat the cake. So it's like, it turns into like a command, which is odd. It's sort of like weird. A reprimand type of thing. Like, 食べないの? If you say it like that, it depends on the way you say it. It's not a question anymore. It's like sort of like a reprimand or a command to not do that. So like, 食べるな is another way to strongly say don't eat that, right? I think we had that lesson a couple weeks ago. But it's sort of a feminine way to say the same exact thing, because 食べるな is sort of like masculine. The feminine way to say that is to be like 食べないの, or like 食べないで is really like the te form that's kind of common, right? And understandable. But this is a little bit different. This is more casual speak, but you'll hear it all the time. It's like, 食べないの, or yeah. So just listen for that. Listen for women saying no, like really strong at the end of a sentence. You'll hear it all the time.
Huh.
Yeah.
It also seems like there are a lot of other uses for no as well, like for the was that kosoado word plus
sorry,
no.
Sorry, what?
Kosoado word.
Kosoato?
Yeah, it's in the article. It says,
Oh,
for
I don't know
example,
what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the examples says, I can't read that kanji. Never mind. But it says,
Where is it in the Kosoato? Okay. Oh, I see.
like
I see. Kosoado. Kosoado. Oh, I see. こんなのい, oh, okay, I see. そういうのは, oh, yeah. It basically, you can, and another thing too in the article that says, and I sort of said this before too, that koto and no are sort of interchangeable. Koto is more, again, cold and like matter-of-factly speaking, where no is sort of conversational and more, not friendly necessarily, but more conversational and like common.
yeah.
And then it has a more of like a feeling and a sort of a personal connotation to it. Like it's my sort of opinion, it's my feeling. It's sort of like possessive to me type of thing. So for example, like こんなのいらないよ. It's like I don't really need this type of thing. So こんなの is like this type of thing. That's what you're saying. And いらないよ is, I don't need it. そういうのは again, you're taking like そういう means things like that, or saying like that. そういう so is like coming from you, right? So I can say こういう thing. You is to say, right?
Yeah.
So I can say ko or so, and the nuance there is ko is like things said like this, or things that you say like this. It's really hard to translate to English. So you is things that you say like that. That sounds so weird to say in English. So for example, you are saying something. This is another feeling thing. So you were saying something, and it is. So their example in the article, for example, is そういうのは前もって教えてください。前もって。That's like in advance. I've never heard that before. But そういうのは前もって教えてください。So 教えてください means please tell me, right? そういうのは is basically those things that you just said or those things that you are saying.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's really hard to translate to English because it's not. I can't take this word and make it an English word and have the sentence make sense.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I think the way you said it, if you just take it at face, makes sense.
Right. So soul is something coming from you. So soul, and then ko is something coming from something that I'm looking at or that I'm experiencing. Right. Okay. And then you means to say. And then no is turning that whole entire thing into a noun. Yeah. So things coming from you that you are saying, no, wa. Let's just forget about the mai motte. That's making me kind of confusing.
Yeah. So things like you said.
I can say motto, like more. 教えてください. So those things that you're saying, tell me more. Right? Yeah. So そういうのはもっと教えてください. Like I'm saying, you're teaching me something or whatever, or you're saying something that
like about a certain subject.
About a certain subject that I want to hear more about. So like そういうのは知らないからもっと教えてください. Like I don't know anything about what you're talking about kind of thing. So 言うことは, but I'm saying what you are talking about. So そういうこと. Yeah. Or そういうのはそういうことは. そういうこと is really, really common too. But そういうのは知らないからもっと教えてください. It's like I don't really know anything about it. Yeah. So no is again like you're turning sort of a sentence or a feeling or an adjective or a verb into a noun and using it as something that you can talk about, turning it into a subject.
Okay. Could you also explain the material things section?
Material things.
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
And then nouns.
Sure. Amai no ga tabetai. Yeah. So amai no is like amai is sweet. So amai no is sort of things that are sweet. So amai no, when you think about that, literally, it's sweet, having sweetness, right? Sort of if you think about it as like a possessive connotation, things that have sweetness, like amai no.
Oh, okay.
So, amai pan, but no is sort of a replacement for the noun in that case. It's just like a possessive modifier, right? You're just saying like amai no, amai mono ga suki. You can say that too. Like amai mono is just sweet things, ga suki. But you can also say amai no ga tabetai. Like I want to eat something that's amai mono tabetai. You can say that too. It's sort of the same thing. But you would not say amai koto ga tabetai. Because that's weird. Like koto is sort of turning it into like a fact or a topic. And you want to eat the sweet topic. It's weird. So a mono is like food, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, you can replace mono for no.
Okay.
So, and again, the article does a really good job of describing these types of things. It sort of makes it more linguistic and sometimes confusing. I prefer, but I have a lot of examples, which I like. Examples are more helpful for me to understand than it is reading how it fits in this. Like, for example, no is also used to turn clauses into nouns to describe material things that have physical presence. This includes living things such as people or animals. What the heck does that mean? Like, I kind of understand what they're saying, but when I look at the examples, I'm understand, right? Like 昔飼ってたのは犬です。So you're taking that whole sentence 昔 long ago 飼ってたのはsomething that I owned, or kao is to like own a pet is what kao means. We have multiple words for that in English, but it's just one word, one verb in Japanese, kao. So like ワンちゃんを飼ってる、猫を飼ってる、I own a dog, basically. It's like I have a dog. It doesn't, you wouldn't say ワンちゃんがいる, but you can say that. You can say ワンちゃんがいる, but you wouldn't say ある. It means, in Japanese, you say for a pet, 飼ってる or 飼う. To own a pet is 飼う. Anyways, 昔飼ってたのは犬です. So I turned that whole like first part of the sentence. Again, it's just a different way to say that. Like I could say like 前は犬を飼ってた. Like before I kind of used to own a dog.
Yeah, okay.
前は犬を飼ってた. Like it's a really, really simple Japanese sentence. Just a different way to say it. Like, there's so many different ways to say things in every language, right? A different way to say it would be 昔飼ってたのは犬です. What I used to have as a pet was a dog.
Yeah.
Or, so そこにいるのは誰ですか? That's そこにいるのは誰ですか? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't really hear that too much, but their translation is who's there? あそこにいるのは誰ですか? So you're kind of, again, like that person over there is kind of sort of what you're saying.
Yeah,
or that thing over there, what is that? But a living thing, because いる.
Yeah, because いる.
Yeah. そこにいるのは
living thing
誰ですか?
over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting way to say that.
Yeah. You can also say like その人は誰ですか?
Yeah.
But it's sort of like そこにいるのは誰ですか? It's a different nuance, obviously. Like who's that person versus who's over there? Like その人は誰ですか? It's like who's that person? Because you're saying it's a more direct, right? You're saying that person over there, who are they? And then そこにいるのは誰ですか? Like, the person over there, who are they? Not person. Whatever I said before. It's more like a softer, non-direct. You're not saying, hito has a kind of direct, more cold feeling than a more indirect way of saying it like this. So again, it's sort of like a feeling thing. Yeah, what? Sorry.
How would that compare to, say there's like a man standing over there? Could you say like 彼は誰ですか or something like that? Or like if someone was talking to me about a person, I could ask like, who is he? Like, is that still like more on the direct and colder side? Like, how is that compared to hito?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different ways to say it, just like in English, right? So depending on how you say it, depending on who you're saying it to, they can take it the wrong way. But for the most part, you could say like, あの男の人は誰ですか? Like that man over there, who's he? Again, that's not like super, but if you just say, the more like describing words you give it, it feels a little bit softer. Like you're trying to really genuinely ask a question. Like, I don't know who this person is. Who are they, type of thing. But if you're saying like その人は, like that person, who are they? The more, that's sort of how you say it in English, right? So that person, who are they? Versus that man over there, who are they? It's sort of like a different feeling like to it.
Okay.
Yeah. But そこにいるのは誰ですか? Yeah. そこにいるのは誰ですか? Or そこにいるのは誰ですか? That's sort of even less direct. You're not even describing them. You're just saying the living thing
the
over
entity.
there, the entity over there. But you can also say that for, not a human too. You can just say
so
something's
it could be
over
like
there.
Yeah.
But if you say dare desu ka, it means who, right?
So that implies person at that point.
It implies person, but if you're saying like nan desu ka, like asoko ni iru wa nan desu ka, it almost sounds like an animal or something
like you don't
living
know,
over there. You don't know what it is.
there.
Yeah. Right. So in that case, I would use toko no hito as a describing word. That's what I would use. I don't know if that's again impolite. I don't know if a Japanese person would. They might say that, but they might also say, especially if like they're just talking to a friend or something. But if they're want to be more polite, they might say iru no wa. But it's like iru no wa is casual. So yeah, if you're saying it politely, you'd probably say it a little bit differently. Yeah, it's all touchy-feeling kind of thing. I would just listen for it, honestly. Again, there's a bunch of different examples, like umareta no wa New-York desu. I was kind of born.
Yeah.
Noa is sort of personal possessive type of thing, right? There's so many examples in here. Again, I almost think that it's more confusing to explain the English than it is to just hear it and then try to use it in Japanese, because it's so pervasive. Yeah, スーツケースが届くのは明日です. You're like kind of setting up the scene, and then you're saying you're kind of describing what you want to say. For example, スーツケースが届くのはthe delivery of the suitcase 明日です is tomorrow. So you're like you're saying a sentence and then you're making it all into a noun so that you can talk about it.
Yeah. Also for you said so is referring to somebody else, right? It's like so. Is this omota? Is that what that is? So omota no wa. It's like someone's reasoning.
So omota no wa naze desu ka? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it makes sense.
So omotta no wa naze desu ka? That's kind of a weird thing to say, to be honest. So I would say like nande sonna fu ni omoimasu ka? Or but yeah, it's just a bunch of different ways to say it. Yeah. So omotta no wa naze desu ka? So why did you think that way? Omotta is again past tense. So
okay.
So like so omotteru no wa naze desu ka? But again, it's all nuance, just the same, different ways to say it, pretty much the same thing. Also, this is interesting. So you know how I said to the other day? It can be used to sort of list things, and then like I can say, list this one item, another item, and then say like dore, like which one. So for example, pizza, or I can also use ka. So pizza ka, pasta ka. どれが食べたいですか? どれが食べたい? Like, which one do you want to eat? Do you want to eat pizza or pasta? And you can kind of do the same thing for listing things with no. Like, レストランに行くの、行かないの。で、揉めた? I don't even know what that word means. Momenta. Sorry, I was reading an example sentence that I don't even know.
Ooh, new word.
Momenta, yeah. To disagree, to dispute, to fight over. Interesting. Momeru is to disagree about something. Like to argue. Interesting. Restaurant ni iku no? Ikanai no? So, restaurant ni iku is to go to a restaurant. No, you're turning that into a subject. And then like the next thing you're listing is ikanai no. So, restaurant, you go to a restaurant, or to not go. No de is de is sort of this is confusing. This is hard to explain. レストランに行くの、イカないの で揉めた。So 揉めた is to argue, then で I can't explain why で is used there. I guess it's because that's the reason that you're for fighting. Is で is sort of, it's like the tool, right?
Yeah, or like the means of.
The means of. That's the reason that you were fighting.
Interesting.
Or arguing is because of that. So that's a pretty hard sentence to, especially for beginners to understand. Let me look for a different one. These are hard sentences, all of them. So
yeah, I think if we get one more kind of simple, straightforward one, I think that covered pretty much everything. There's kind of a lot of information to take in.
Yeah, for sure. This is funny. So like the last thing, and again, this is beyond the basics section, so that's probably why it's harder to explain. But again, you get the feel for it, and it becomes, and you'll notice it all the time. It's really, really common in normal speech. So the last sentence is like ポートランドのビール、そりゃ美味しいの、美味しくないのって。That's interesting. I've actually never heard this before. ポートランドのビール、そりゃ美味しいの、美味しくないのって。Oh. So there's translation is beer in Portland is beyond delicious. Interesting. So I think it probably matters on the way that you say it. For example, ポートランドのビール、そりゃ美味しいの、美味しくないのって。Like, so the person, this is a weird, why would they even put this in the article? But it's sort of, I guess it's worth talking about. So this person's saying like, ポートランドのビール、そりゃ美味しいの、美味しくないのって。Like, they're kind of replying to somebody. It's like, yeah, the literal translation is beer in Portland is not even a matter of deliciousness or delicious or not delicious.
That's strange.
Yeah, very weird example sentence, but I kind of get it. Like, they're saying it doesn't really matter. It's just Portland beer. It doesn't really matter if it's good or not, basically is what they're saying. But ignoring that translation, 美味しいの、美味しくないの, you're taking an adjective and turning it into a noun. And you're talking about the noun. So that's like the main gist of it. Moving on into that grammar lesson, which is very confusing. But just look out for no when you're listening to anime, when you're listening to podcasts, when you're practicing conversation. Listen for people saying no.
Yeah, in particular, like verbs or noun words before.
Honestly,
right?
that even feels more common, like the possessive. So you're gonna hear it all the time. Just look out for no. If it's not like a part of a verb or something, or an actual, vocabulary word or something like that, if it's used as grammar, it's so common in conversation. So just look out for no.
No.
Story time. Let's
hurry up here. Phone number in this story.
What?
Why is there a phone number in this story?
That's scary.
Let's just read to it, and maybe the context will make sense.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. Yeah, that's really odd. Okay, Mr. Nick, the poor teacher.
This is a happy story.
男の先生がアメリカにいた。先生の名前はニック先生だった。ニック先生は悲しかった。お金がなかったから。Almost every story starts out with this, like the no money. いい先生だけど、アメリカの先生はお金がない。お金がない人は悲しい。確かに。ニック先生はお金が欲しいよと友達に言った。誰がお金があると友達に聞いた。友達のマッシュはセリナがお金があるよと言った。ニック先生はセリナはどこにいると聞いた。マッシュはセリナはカナダの奥米。セリナはカナダの奥米にいると言った。ニック先生とマーシュはバスで奥米どこだろう奥米に行ったけど、バスのチケットを買わなかった。 お金がなかったから。チケットを盗んで、大久保に行った。セリナの家に行ったけど、セリナはいなかった。セリナの家に猫と男の人がいた。男の人は、セリナはトロントに行ったと言った。ニック先生とマーシュは、トロントに行ったと言った。まあ、聞いた。ニック先生はトロントに行かないと言った。マーシュはアイディアがあった。セリナのお金がなかったから、セリナの猫を盗んだ。マーシュは、セリナはお金があるから、この猫を買おうと言った。ニック先生はセリナに電話して、セリナの猫を盗んだよ。お金が欲しいよ。猫を買おうと聞いた。セリナは、猫を盗んだ。ありがとう。嬉しい。友達の猫だよ。私は猫が好きじゃない。と言った。ニック先生は、友達の電話番号は何と聞いて、セリナは、友達の電話番号は250-555-5650だけど、友達はお金がないと言った。ニック先生とマーシュは悲しかった。バスチケットを盗んで大久保に行ったのにお金がない。終わり。
Whoa.
おしまい。完成。完了。So, very uneventful story.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Actually, we can start the conversation too, if you want to ask questions about it.
Okay. Hold on. ちょっと、
トロント
なぜ猫を盗ん
だ
誰の猫
セリナの友達の猫。そう。
はい、なぜ猫を盗んだ
また盗んだら、ほらなんかランサムみたいな感じでお金がもらえる。そう、セリナにまた売る。猫があるよ、猫が持ってるよ、猫が盗んだよ、もうお金くれみたいな感じ。
ひどい。
そうそうそう。ランサムって日本語でなんて言うんだろう。身の代金。
身の
それじゃない
白金。
それじゃないかな。ランサム。身の代金。身の代金要求。身の代金か。そう、身の代金。ちょっと違うんだけど、でもそう。
誰のアイディア
誰のアイディアマーシュはアイディアがあった。マーシュのアイディア。
マーシュはお金がいない
ない
お金がないお金
ない。マーシュとニック先生、二人ともないお金。だから、セリナのお金が盗みたかった。だから、セリナの家にいて、でもお金がなかったから盗めなくて、それで、セリナの電話番号急になんかしてるみたい。多分友達かな。で、セリナに電話して、で、猫を盗んだんだよって言って、それでセリナが、ありがとうって言った。ありがとうで、二人ともニック先生とマーシュは、なんで怒ってないのなんでなんかびっくりしてないのありがとうって言われた。だから、セリナは猫が好きじゃない。猫が嫌い。で、 で、友達の猫だよって言って、それで、友達の電話番号を上げて、電話して、電話した友達がお金がないと言った。そう、誰もお金がないみたい。みんな貧乏。みんな貧乏。
みんな貧乏。
みんな貧乏。
お金がない。
お金がないです。そういうストラグルですね。みんなのストラグルだね。
はい、
金がない。生活。現実は。じゃあ、終わりにしましょうか、会話。
ちょっと。
他の質問ありますか？
はい。
はい。聞きたいことは何ですか？
なんでもない。
なんでもない？なんで？調べるのできなかった？ほら、ノーって使った。ノー。調べるの。
調べる意味は何ですか？
調べる to look up or to investigate。
はい。
調べるのはできなかった？
はい。
調べるのはできませんでした？
はい。
何を調べたかったの
？Relatable. Relatable. お金がない。
受ける。東京、関東弁だったら受ける。それか、わかる。はいはい。そう。I understand. みたいな感じ。わかる。relatable わかんないけど、でもわかる。わかるの方がみんな言う。それ結構使う言葉。じゃあ、いいね。終わりにましょうか。終わりにしましょうか。
はい。
終わりです。
終わりで
ーす。Okay. That was a strange story. Good questions. Not having much to go on.
It was very uneventful. You're right. So let me get this straight. At the end.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Of these names, I keep forgetting. I know there's Nick.
There's 3 people. There's Selena. I guess there's 4 people, but 3 names. Yeah.
Selena's friend had the cat, right?
So she must have had her friend's cat at her house because they stole the cat.
Yeah, so they stole the cat for ransom. And then,
yeah.
And then she didn't have any money. And did she also say she didn't like cats?
She doesn't like cats.
Why'd she have one then?
No. It's her friend's cat. She's like watching her friend's cat or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought when they tried to put the cat up for ransom that the owner didn't want the cat back. That's what I thought.
No. Well, they said that the Selena は友達の電話番号は25055555650だけど、友達はお金がないと言った。So
they had no money.
Told them the phone number, but then said that she doesn't have any money. So they were sad, and they believed her. They didn't even try to call her.
That's so ridiculous.
And they went to Okube. I don't know what Okube is, but they went there, and despite going there, there's no money to be stolen.
I like the questions at the end. Niku sensei wa ii sensei. Hi.
Oh, there's a questions at the end of the page. Oh, funny. Is he a good teacher?
Oh wait, they also stole tickets. What else did they steal?
They stole a cat, dude.
Yeah, it says at one of the questions was, what did they steal?
They stole a bus ticket too. So they did not steal money. They stole a bus ticket and a cat. Yeah. So Nick sensei wa doko ni itta? He went to Okube. They did not go to Toronto. Was Selena angry that they stole the cat? No. 誰の猫だった?
Yeah, there was.
It was Selena の友達の猫だった. Yep. Did Nick and his friend end up rich in the end? No, they didn't.
If only. Wait, what does the second to last one say? Dare no neko datta. I forgot
誰の
what
猫だっ
datta
た
is. Datta.
Like deshita. It's the same exact meaning. Datta is just a more common way to say deshita. It's a more casual way to say deshita.
Oh, so
Got
whose
it?
cat was it?
Yeah. 誰の猫でした to datta
Gotcha.
is the same thing. Same meaning. It's just a more casual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Russell Sensei, give me a grade.
What'd you get? You better have got 100%.
Yay!
You got 100%?
Maru, 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 maru. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Oh.
So, of course, this story will be linked in the description as always. Do you have anything more to say? I know that we've been always keep talking about Komiko, which I tried looking hard on the App Store for the iOS App Store for Komiko or anything that's similar that's also good. Didn't find anything.
Dang.
They all suck. Like I tried to download a bunch of them and then look at them, and they all suck. So unfortunately, I think the Android version is so if you have an Android phone, you're good.
Yeah.
Go read those. But if you have iOS, you're kind of out of luck. You might have to just read. There's a bunch of like manga scans in app form, which are fine. But the thing that's not super great about those is that you're not able to like copy and paste because it's just an image. So if you want to look something up, you can't really look it up.
Yeah.
It's not like constantly updated necessarily. It's just a bunch of scans from a bunch of manga.
And you're not supporting the creators.
You're not supporting the creators. It's more of like a bootleg scans. So yeah, I think that Komiko on Android for some reason they just, at least for me, that I can't find any good ones. So I know we were talking about something else too the other day. Don't quite remember. Oh, I think I sent you a bunch of links to, and I think I put it in the description of the video too for Akiyama, Choco
Oh, yeah.
Planeto, and also
I actually have tabs open right now. I was gonna put one on.
Oh, dude, they're funny.
Afterwards.
They're awesome. Yeah, definitely watch Akiyama first.
Oh, Akiyama.
You can watch any of them, yeah, and then Sandwichima. Sandwichima is a little bit harder to understand because they're talking, right?
Yeah.
But
so it's like
it's not hard Japanese though. It's really not super difficult. So if you and what they're doing is, but they're mostly like talking. They're all kind of acting it out, but they're mostly talking. Where Akiyama is just like all ridiculousness.
Oh, I do like that.
Regardless if you even understand Japanese at all, it's entertaining. And then Chocoreto Planeto is sort of similar. They're kind of in the middle between Sandwichima and Akiyama. They're kind of silly, but they also talk a lot. So I encourage everybody to go watch those. They're fun.
Yeah.
And of course, any other Warai Gaming that you like too, the Japanese comedians they're all silly and ridiculous. I think my favorites are those three are great, and then also the Onna Geinin, the Japanese comedians, the women, like the women group. They often like go out together and they do events together and stuff like that on Japanese TV. It's really funny. Like they make me laugh every single time. Where like the manzai, the men will like try really hard and not be super funny, but the women are always funny every single time. So I encourage you guys to go look at Onna Geinin and just type that in Japanese in YouTube too. Just Onna Geinin. They're really funny. Did you have any recommendations or anything else that you found?
Not currently. I did kind of look through Kamiko a few times and nothing has caught my eye just yet.
Is it all in Japanese? Like I was saying?
Yes, everything.
Great. That's so frustrating, man. Like I guess I kind of understand why, but as a developer, it makes sense.
They have novels on here? Yeah, like everything's in Japanese. So
did you find the Kazuku, like the family thing I was talking about? I think it's a popular comic. Oh.
I did not. Because I didn't have too much to search off of because that's a pretty general concept.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the name. All I know it was pretty simple art style, and it was at least at the time, this is years ago, but it was released. They would release like a new comic every week or something. So it was pretty frequent. And it was just fun. I like that comic a lot. That was one of my favorites on Comico. But that would suck. It's gone for whatever reason. Anyways,
I kind of would.
Let's end this.
If you find it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I tried to also download Webtoon to look at that, and that sucks. Webtoon sucks. At least I don't like it.
Does.
It's all English.
That's weird because I don't think it's an English company.
It's not. It's Korean.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
There's no Japanese version?
I don't know. You have to be in Japan. That's right. It's like localized to your country. Yeah. They got some of that like DRM happening probably due to licensing and stuff.
I guess that makes sense.
Yep. So maybe that's why I can't. But you're able to read comic. I don't understand. Anyways, it's in the show. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, sayonara. That's what we say in Japanese. Sayonara sauce. All right. Outro. Bye bye, King.
Johnny.